Good morning, Mortgage Coach community. Dave Savage. This is the last Friday Mastermind call of 2019. Welcome to our last call. I don't know if this is going to go for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or the full hour. I'm going to gauge that based off of the interaction, the questions, the conversation that we're having as a community. I don't have Mr. Todd Bookspan as my wingman today. Don't have Jen, don't have Michelle. So it's just me facilitating today's mastermind. And like I said, depending on how many of you showed up, which, wow, actually it looks like a pretty good number of people have shown up to the call. What is up, Mortgage Coach community? So a couple things just to make sure that you can hear me. If you could, in comments, let me know where you're at right now. What city and state are you coming live? I'm actually broadcasting live out of Orange County, WeWork. In comments, in chat, let me know where you're at, just so I can make sure everybody can hear me. So there we go. We got Wisconsin, we got Kentucky, we got Texas, we got California. Keep it going. We got Miami, Florida, we got Metro Detroit, California, Louisville, Seattle. What's up, Dave? What's up, Brandy? All right, we got a good showing here. So first of all, guys, thanks for showing up. While I'm live here, I'm also going to be looking at Facebook Live. So if you're in the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind group, know that we broadcast live. Looks like we've got 8 people. What's up, Chris, in Lake Oswego, Oregon? I'm chasing the sun with my family right now, so I'm not there. Let's see, questions, comments, Dallas. All right, this is awesome. So it is game on. If anybody wants to, oh, Katie Pastor, what's up, Katie? On the road to Lake Tahoe. Say hi to Dan for me. I assume you're on the road with him. By the way, Katie, I've got some fun stuff for you and I planned this year. We got Jeff Strode. What's up, Jeff? So like I said, this call maybe 15, 20 minutes, it may be the full hour. It's really going to depend on you guys. So first thing I want to do is I want to know, coming into 2019, closing out 2018, what are your primary goals? I did post that in the Mortgage Coach Mastermind group, so in our Facebook group, I did post that, but I want to know what folks are focused on for your 2019 goals. If you're using the Win by Noon planner, Todd Bookspan's Win by Noon planner, hopefully you've started to fill that out. Remember to ask Todd yes on Win by Noon. Remember, ask Todd for the Mortgage Coach version. And then I do want to remind everybody on this call, you know, the Win by Noon, not just the Mortgage Coach version, all of them has a place for you to measure and manage your total cost analysis. So every time you deliver a TCA to a family, checkbox. So hopefully that is a goal. How many times are you going to deliver a total cost analysis to families? So more relationships, make the President's Club. These are all good goals. You know, I'm looking for goals like how many loans you want to close. I'm hoping to see some of you, just from some of the calls we've been having in the past, have goals around your past customer database. I'm going to unpack in about 15 minutes what I think are the core Mortgage Coach strategies to achieve production goals and profitability goals in 2019. I think one delineation I have for the Mortgage Coach community, we need to think about not just production, but we need to think about profitable production in 2019 like never before. You know, it's not important that you close. It's not just important that you close a lot of loans. It's important that you close a lot of loans and you do it effectively and profitably. That is going to be more important than ever. It really is going to be what weeds out the people that excel in 2020 and beyond, and those that don't, is that, you know, they're killing it with production and they're doing it in a way that's highly effective, highly profitable. So let's get specific. I don't see a lot of specific goals in the feed so far. By the way, when I'm looking down, I'm looking at Facebook. So if you could, like, for example, last year, Wally Elderberry made it a goal that he was going to close 100 loans from his past customer database. He wanted to get this goal of how much production he wanted to do. And he felt in order to achieve that goal, I needed to incrementally add a new channel of business to close 100 loans with my past customer database. I don't think he quite got to 100, but I think he was at, last time I talked to him, he was at 80 something. And I think there was hope for him to get to 90. But that was more than double the year before. So to me, that's just getting ahead of things in terms of the top strategies, top 3 strategies for 2019. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that annual reviews and optimizing your past customer database is going to be one of the top 3 that we're advocating for, that we're evangelizing. So Julie, my goals are written everywhere: mirror, fridge, win by noon. Great job. Here is 72 units. I really want to have 1 referral from every closed loan. So by the way, Amy, that's a great goal. I think more and more we need to look at, profitability. You need to look at how are you getting more from the same or more from less. And so I absolutely think getting more referrals from your customers in process and getting more referrals from your past customer database kind of fit hand in hand. 2 weeks ago, it was Michelle Town who said her biggest takeaway from the Darren Hardy event was that she's redefining what a past customer is. No longer is a past customer just someone that she closed a loan for, got a 5-star review, it's someone in her database. She's really redefining that to someone who's referred her business. So you don't really become my past customer database until, yes, I closed loans, I did business with you, and you referred someone. I think that's smart. I think that's interesting. My goal, 85 loans, 25 million. Great job, Julie. Anybody else want to weigh in with a top goal? Jim McQuaig. By the way, Jim, if you are in a place where I can bring you into the conversation, would love to have you join me. I'm going to scroll here. By the way, if you want to join me in this conversation, I can unmute you and bring you into the conversation. So I'm scrolling for anyone that's raised their hands. What's up, Troy Root? God, man, we've got, what an amazing showing for today's call. I literally thought I was going to have a third of the folks that are usually on this call here, and it looks like we've just got a completely full house. So great job on that, guys. So Chris McWilliams, I'm going to allow you to talk. Chris, Dave Savage here. Can you hear me? Chris, I'm going to have to remute you, buddy. Luke, I have allowed you to talk. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm good. Just taking it all in.
Taking it all in. Where are you live at right now?
Actually, I'm driving to work.
Right on, Dad. Well, hey, you're working. It's kind of a quiet week, right?
It's very quiet, and I'll be honest. I had a great year, and I did see it slow down, but I'm seeing it starting to rebound, and I've taken the time. I'm totally transforming my business. I mean, I told my coach, I says, I think I've bit off more than I can chew, but I'm redoing systems and tech and our procedures and processes, and I've had to make some personnel changes, and it's daunting. It's very daunting, but I should have it done in about another 10 days.
Good, man. Well, it sounds like you're getting after it. You're working today. What are, like, when you think of your, top 1 or 2 goals for 2019, what are you really focused on? If there's one goal that you're going to crush.
This year I'm going to hit the century mark as far as units goes. And I want to actually make our Rainmakers Club. I have yet to do it, and this will be the year to do it. And probably my third one is I'm going to deliver a lot of content. I think from Todd, the Sales Mastery, one of the things is they said, I forgot who it was, the speaker, and they said, you have to be a media company first that does loans. And so that really rang a bell with me. So I've got some things I'm working on in the background to make that happen.
Good, man. Well, hey, I appreciate how active you are in the community. I definitely think building a personal brand and growing your personal brand is a super important priority for 2019. So sounds like you got a great unit goal that you're going after and production, and you're getting after it, man. You know, feel free to chime back in. Again, folks, would love to know your goals. And feel free to ask me if a question, if anything comes to mind. Sound good, Luke?
Yeah. Hey, one quick thing on Michelle's database segmenting. That's an interesting thought, you know, but I'm wondering, you know, to what will be the ramification if you say, okay, my customers are no longer the people that don't refer me business, but they're going to do business at some point. So is she still going to touch them in some fashion, but maybe just reduce the amount? I mean,
well, I mean, I think, you know, she's not here to answer it, but there's two schools of thought. So first of all, anybody in your database, you're communicating and you're building personal brand in some way, shape, or form, without question. And then I think what I took away from the conversation is, one, she's going to start measuring that. And we all know what you measure grows. You know, you can't manage what you don't measure. So there's this focus that is the new goal. That is the new standard. You know, it's not just closing a loan, not just a 5-star review, but it's a referral. And so that's the team goal to get someone into that. So I think the big takeaway there is just that we're going to measure it and we're going to be intentional about driving people into that seat. And yeah, she's going to, and yeah, there'll probably be a different level of communication in terms of annual reviews, quarterly reviews, but I'll ask her that question on the next call.
I think it's brilliant, but I'm just curious to see how she executes it.
Yeah, no problem. Let's bring that back when Michelle's on the call, and then let's bring that to the whole community. And remember, guys, that was a takeaway where I think she spent at least $10,000, spent several days with Darren Hardy, and it was one of her top 3 takeaways was how she's going to, you know, measure, manage, and profitably optimize her past customer database. So, hey, Luke, I'm going to put you back on mute. If you do want to chime in, raise your hand or, you know, ask a question. I'll bring you back. Happy New Year, brother. Hey, Chris, you said that you can talk now.
Sure can.
What's up, my man?
You know, just finishing out the year. That's what we're doing for the day. So.
Are you in the office today?
I am, yeah, in the office today. I have our last closing today at 3:30.
Good, man. Well, congrats for getting after it. Congrats on a great year. By the way, if you are in a place where you can turn on a video, you have been given, you know, the rights to do that, but no pressure to do so. But okay. You're always a great leader of the community. I'd love to know what your goals are and what you're focused on.
Yeah, so the biggest takeaway for me this year, so this was the first year that I tracked all my numbers at a high level. So, you know, what was at Todd Duncan's, you know, High Trust Sales Academy last December. And coming off of that, we put in some metrics in Jungo that I was able to track all my sales conversations, pre-approvals, referrals, everything together. So this is the first year that I've had a real good, solid understanding on that. So taking a look at that, and I had approximately, it was 1,090 sales conversations this year, generated about 165 referrals, and 73 of those closed. So biggest success is conversion rate from conversation to close was you know, around 44%, which was fantastic. And biggest goal, you know, for next year is to double those conversations. And so that's my top level goal. And that means I have to add some realtor partners, and I have to be better at annual mortgage reviews to get that conversation to that level.
Hey, Chris, are you in a place where you could put on your video right now? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, it is. Yep. Where in my screen,
so drag your mouse over Zoom, and in the bottom, probably left corner, there's start video, stop video button. Are you accessing this through your mobile phone or computer?
Computer, and I'm on the laptop.
Yeah, so you should be able to just drag your mouse over the, you know, like my video, wherever you see me, and it should light up your control panel. Well, while you're looking for that, guys, what you just heard, first of all, Chris, congratulations. You have taken control of your business. And I would just say that what I just heard, how focused he is on goals, how clear he is about his activity and his metrics is, that's what winning sounds like. So I hope anyone who is not tracking, conversations, you're not tracking, the key metrics that drive your business. Really, that should be your number one goal. I've never interviewed a loan officer who has that much clarity on their business that is not killing it. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to someone who's struggling, who gets a coach or who gets serious about managing their numbers and their metrics that doesn't have a personal breakthrough. And again, there's a lot of ways of being successful in this business, what your lead sources are, different CRMs, there's just a lot of ways of being successful, but you can't optimize your success without the kind of, the focus that Chris has taken. So Chris, anything like, what was it that got you to the point where you decided to go from, you didn't do that in previous years to you decided, I'm going to do it this year? What was that personal journey? What was the epiphany that?
Yes. The epiphany definitely was at the High Trust Sales Academy with Todd last December, when you go through the metrics part of doing your business plan. And when you scratch your head and you don't have a number to put in there because you don't know it, it's when you're in that kind of community, it was a little embarrassing, to be honest with you.
So time out. So you went to an event, you were being connected with Todd, and then you were around a lot of other people at a high level, and you were one of the few people that didn't have this kind of clarity on your business.
Yeah, I don't know. It was more than just myself. I think a lot of us had, I think it was probably 50% probability that, knew what our sales conversations were and tracking that on a daily basis. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you said sounds like you're using Jugo as your CRM. Was that your CRM previously?
It was, yep. So it was my CRM previously. I just hadn't built out the appropriate parts or, been diligent enough to log every single conversation. So.
Got it. And then are you using any other tools like Win by Noon, Mortgage Coach, anything else that's helping you kind of drive your goals, your strategies, and your mortgage experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mortgage Coach, every single client gets Mortgage Coach, and multiple times throughout the transaction. So, first thing I always, start the conversation on pre-approval. I say, okay, well, the first thing as a mortgage advisor, I need to determine what is your best mortgage program. And I kind of walk them through the differences between, FHA, conventional, and USDA. And then, so then once we've determined, okay, so we know your best program is conventional, and then let's build out some strategies about, getting you your best conventional mortgage. Is it 20% down? Is it 10% down? Is it lender paid PMI? Is it monthly PMI? Is it, as a broker, right? I can shop around with different lenders, and I have some different things too that I build out within that particular analysis to say, okay, here's some specials or some things that we have that we can do, that might be a little different than our competition.
Love that. Love that. And so you've given Mortgage Coach to everyone. Are you adding a video? What is your Mortgage Coach experience? And by the way, how many people are coming into your office versus people you're just over the phone and internet?
Yeah. So, every single client gets a video. So every time I do a Mortgage Coach, it's a video, and every time I do an update, it's an updated video. So that way they're not getting the same message twice. And then as far as in person compared to over online, so it's probably about just 25% in person and 75% just phone and video. So yeah,
go ahead.
I'd like to get to the point to where we're doing like a Zoom or GoTo meeting, and I'm presenting the edge alive. I'd like to get there. That's something that I'm thinking about for 2019.
Well, hey man, everything you could do to just always, take it to the next level and optimize your experience, the better. But I mean, your conversion rate is super high. You're delivering the total cost analysis, and again, as a platform. By the way, were you doing that previously, or is that something you just started doing in 2018?
Yeah, so had been doing Edge since 2013. And so I was trying to get to the 500 mark this year, and I ended up I think I'm at 482 total Edge presentations.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Well, Chris, let's do something. I mean, let's you and I do a full interview where I focus on that, because you're a great success story. I would love to shine a light on what you're doing. So let's get on a call next week. Any questions you have for me or anyone else in the community? Anything we could talk about that might be valuable for everybody else?
Yeah, just I think my biggest, I would say my biggest failure this year was the annual mortgage review. I really wanted to be better at that. And I chatted with Rick a little bit about that at Sales Mastermind there, because, he does a fantastic job at that. And so I need to get better at the annual mortgage review. And so I would be interested to hear, other people's, and, all the way from execution, from time blocking, how they get it done, to how they get more engagement from their past clients.
So let's walk through that, because I do think, that's going to be one of the top 3 strategies of 2019. And I think a lot of people go from, yes, I want to do that, I know I should do that, and then they fail. So let's just, you and I talk through that, because I think it will be useful for everyone. How many past customers do you have in your database?
I'm at about 250-ish.
And any idea how many loans you closed last year from your past customers?
Yeah, so I had 23 from my past customers this year.
So, first of all, bro, that's fantastic. That's pretty much a 10% past customer pull-through rate. And there was probably another 20-ish loans from past customers that took place in your database.
Yeah.
But that is a benchmark of excellence, so it's definitely not a weakness. Everybody on this call, one of the top questions I posted in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group is, how many past customers do you have? And then, how many loans did you close from past customers? I'm stunned at the lack of comments on that post. Although I'm not, because it just, I've been preaching this. Todd Duncan's been preaching this, most leaders, and it is tough, and I think part of it is that most loan officers, we're hunters. We like to go out and get new relationships, new, and we're programmed on hunting, and we're not focused enough on farming. So part of it is just a mentality that we love to hunt and we don't love to farm, and we're not disciplined around farming. We don't put structure around farming. So that's, call it, that's the wind at your face, is just, you love to hunt. And so I was gonna talk to you more about resourcing towards it, but you're kind of doing it. Are you doing annual reviews with your past customers?
So I did a pretty good job of getting in touch with probably maybe 10 or 15% in that first quarter when volume was a little bit lower, right? And then the second and third quarters, when we get slammed with business, then it really fell off my time blocking, and I didn't do a good job executing that.
Do you have a team? Do you have any help with
Nope.
just calling an assistant?
So that was part of it. So we had an assistant that started the year with me, and then we let her go during the second and third quarters, and then hired an assistant again in the third quarter. And she's just about up and fully running. So I'm hoping that will keep me out of the operation side. So I grew up on that side with the underwriting and closing side. So I have a tendency to try and jump back in there more often than I should.
Got it. So, I'm not going to say this is your issue because, by the way, you have great metrics. You're getting it done. You're really doing a good job. But more times than not, it's people just not time blocking. Just like the best of the best, they usually have at least a 2 hour period from 9 to 11, that they're prospecting. And, in order to pull off, executing your past client reviews, your annual reviews, you need to make it a requirement, and you need to carve out the time to do it. If you ask Wally how he went from, about a 3 to 4% past customer pull through rate to about a 8 to 9% this year, and he doubled his past client business, he resourced for it. He made sure that he had team members to help implement and execute it, and then he time blocked his time and did it. And by the way, that's the same thing with Rick Shear. They not only had a strategy, but they resourced for it. And by the way, for anyone on this call that's not closing at least 8 loans a month consistently, you don't have enough production to support the team. But if you have a database, think about it, it's 10%. If you have 500 past customers, that's 50 loans a year that you should be closing from your past customer database. You just need to put in the work. By the way, Chris, I just brought Jim McQuaig, who's a, mortgage coach, ninja, branch manager, leader. Jim, can you talk? Are you in a place where you can unmute yourself?
I am.
By the way, I'm going to give you both a chance to put on your camera, so I'm not the only one on camera. So if you are in a place you can turn on your camera, and Chris, it looks like your camera's not working, or
I tried it. I wasn't able to get it to pop.
Oh, you know what? It could be a setting on my side. Let me go into the back end. But Jim, you've been listening to this conversation. Any advice, just as a branch manager and a leader of a lot of loan officers that kill it with Mortgage Coach? Any advice on this topic?
Yeah, I think you're hitting it. We've made that commitment to the annual mortgage reviews. It's taken us a little longer. I've just come as a manager. I've just realized, these guys, they stay pretty busy throughout the day. And whenever I have these new initiatives, and it seems like management's always coming up with this new stuff, if I feel strongly enough about it that it's the thing to do, I need to be the one that's kind of leading the charge on making it happen. So we've just finally gotten that pulled off after it's taken a long time. And it's just now starting where we're actually pretty much doing the annual mortgage review piece for them. And I copied Rick Shearer's kind of process, just called him up and talked to him. And that's one thing I really appreciate about what you do is bringing those resources to the community. I was able to figure out he was having some good success, and we've basically just mimicked his process for the entire office. So that email's going out, the slide broadcast is going out, it's all happening, and all the loan officer does is keep the appointments that are made by the customers, and everything else is taken care of for them. So fingers crossed, hopefully dedicating those resources pays off.
Yeah, I've seen that be successful. By the way, everyone who's listening to this call, whether you're live or whether it's recorded, when I have a minute, I will go find that article. There's a LinkedIn article where I interviewed Rick Shearer. It was probably like December of last year, and it has his scripting, it has his process. Also, I'm going to be interviewing Wally next week, and we'll talk about what his system and process was. So just keep an eye in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group. If you're watching this on a recording, down below, I'll put in the description, I'll put a link to that article so you can get some processes, some scripts, some samples. But, at the end of the day, you just need to make it a requirement. Like Jim is a branch manager, so kudos to you, Jim, for putting some resources around it at a branch level to execute. Chris, I do want to give you a heads up with Jungo now. You can automate the annual review. Have you turned on that feature yet?
I have, yeah. So I have it turned on, and I have not played with it, as far as a view or tested it quite yet.
Well, let us know. So again, I want to interview you pronto, but maybe we'll will make you a success story. It'll be interesting to see once you start automating the Mortgage Coach annual reviews, how that improves your results. But I do know one thing for sure, just because we focused on that this year, every loan officer that we've talked to that has implemented annual reviews, just that one thing has doubled the number of loans they're getting from past customers. So do the math. By the way, I don't think we're going to double it. Like if you're at 10% past customer pull-through rate, we're not saying you'll go to 20. But we can get you to that 10% mark. And I don't think we're going to double your results, Chris, but I do think we can lift it because you're already executing pretty well.
Awesome.
So cool. So Chris, any other questions for me or Jim before we let you kind of get back to just listening on the call?
No, that's it. I look forward to jumping on with you next week. So.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for being an active member in the community. Always appreciate hearing your voice and hearing how you're executing. Great job.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Yep. Hey, so Mr. Jim McQuaig, man, it's good to have you on this holiday week jumping in here. You've been listening to the call. Anything that you think we should cover? Any success stories you want to share with the community?
Success-wise, I just kind of had our year-end meetings with our folks to let them know we've actually, we were kind of a lead-focused company for the longest time, and my branch in particular. And over the course of the last couple of years, we've kind of made a shift, and we're moving in the direction of, we've got our leads coming in, we've got self-gen, and we've got database. And to the point where my goals for 2019 is to get the lead portion of our production down below 20%, and the database and the self-gen covering over 80% of our business. So that would be a huge win for me. Our volume this year over last year was up 14.5%. I hear that some people have been down this year, but we've actually been up, which is good, and that trend looks to be continuing. So it's been a great year. Very, very excited for, I've been doing this a long time. I don't know that I've ever been more excited about the new year than I am right now. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, one thing I would love to cover while I have you on the call, just because, not only were you up from a production standpoint, your branch is, highly profitable. You don't have a lot of price exceptions, comparatively speaking. And yet your loan officers also do a really good job of using the total cost analysis at the point of sale. Any best practices you have for just other branch managers, because there's a lot I'm looking at who's on this call. We've got some heads of production. We have some branch managers. And I have to think anything that you're going to share in that context would be valuable for loan officers too. But any advice on how to, get folks to use Mortgage Coach more consistently and how to drive that whole thing?
Well, I tell you, that call that you had with Dave a week or two ago was really good. I think I may have texted you or emailed you telling you it was so good. He's such a stud. We're probably similar in his branch to being able to, fortunate to be able to kind of hold our margins through all this mess that's occurred over the last year or so, and that's great, and I'm really happy about it. I certainly credit Mortgage Coach with a certain amount of that. I really like the tip that he gave, which was when they're asking for a pricing exception, he wants to see their total cost analysis that they did. And so that was pretty cool. I don't do that, but I tell you, I think just having a process that's a little bit of a pain to get a pricing exception sometimes helps. And then as a branch manager, just, not just immediately granting it, going through and walking through and asking the questions. And, I try to act a little bit like Columbo when that's happening. So I'm just kind of, mumbling and asking the extra question and all that. So hopefully, I just find in so many cases, it's just, it's just a matter of them not wanting to take the time to go through the process. So Mortgage Coach is a huge part of that. because you really can show the cost side of it, and it's just not that big a deal most of the time. And so that they do a good job of that, and they show all the options so that they're not leaving questions in the mind of the customer, and they don't feel a need to go looking for other options. Then total cost analysis is super helpful in that regard.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I opened this call around everyone's job in this mortgage business. If you want to crush it, whether you're an individual loan officer, whether you're a broker, whether you're a branch manager, whether you're a regional head of production, you need to kill it with production, because let's just assume it's going to be a down year. But by the way, that does not mean it needs to be a down year for anyone on this call or anyone that's part of this community, because you're just too small to be impacted by the market. And so, and you need to focus on profit. So I'm showing on the video right now this interview with Dave Gallegos. And by the way, if you're an individual LO, just pretend that you have a manager that's making you go through that obstacle course. Because if you get to a point where you're asking for a price exception and all you did was deliver a fee worksheet, and then also think about, hey, did I ask that family what their hopes and dreams were? Did I spend enough time emotionally connecting with that family around your goals, your dreams? Or you know what, did I just have a transactional conversation? So it's, there's soft skills from a selling perspective, and then there's tangible value that you delivered from a presentation. And again, we're coming out with a number of case studies on how, just having that hopes and dreams conversation, delivering a total cost analysis improves conversion, makes it more profitable. And by the way, it helps the customer, helps the family build wealth with real estate versus just getting a loan. So check that out. Also, I put a link to that, by the way, in chat of Zoom. So anyone that's on the Zoom platform, you can go click on that and you won't have to search for it. And then, and by the way, if you're listening to the recording of this, I'll put a link in there. And then what was referenced by Chris on the call, and I know this has been a really, this article, look at it. I mean, it's been read 2,200 times. We've got a lot of likes. This was an interview I did with Rick Shear. It was last November, but one of the biggest strategies in mortgage coach land last year was annual reviews. Like literally, that was the thing that if you just flipped the switch and started executing this, you could get 10% of your past customers to do a transaction with you annually. And by the way, and you could get a lot more referrals that you could give back to your realtors and your other referral partners. So I deemed this the number one strategy in 2018. And I don't know, Jim, do you agree with me? I mean, I really don't think there's a better number one strategy for 2019. I think I'm just going to be doing a repeat. Like that was a number one strategy last year, and it's even more.
Let me tell you my numbers and why that. And for branch managers, this I honestly think this has got to be one of your top priorities. We have usually it's a little over 1,000 annual reviews per month that come due in my office, meaning, anniversary dates of loans that have closed in the past. A little over 1,000. Rick is able to get through his process roughly a third of them to book an appointment with him. If we're only able to get 10% of them, that's over 100 extra appointments a month for my loan officers. And let's say, the goal is to try to give, not get. And so that's great, but you're going to get some loans from that. I mean, probably an extra 20 or 30 loans, I would think, depending on the market. So, that's a big number. That's a big needle mover there. So pretty exciting.
By the way, just so folks know you, and by the way, I've interviewed Jim. I'm going to put a link to my last interview down below. How much production does your branch do? I just want folks to get a feel for the kind of team that you lead.
We'll come up just a hair short of 300 million this year.
So a very successful branch, and they do it very profitably, very effectively, year after year after year. and they had it up a year. So great job, brother. Hey, so I have you on the call, and I'm assuming you couldn't get your video working. Is that right? It's not working?
Yeah, I don't think it has the ability to do that. I know where it's at on Zoom, but I just don't see it come up as an option.
I wonder I'm sure it's something on my end that I'm not doing right. So sorry about that.
All right.
Anyways, so I think for Mortgage Coach, the other top strategies, I am going to really push hard. And I think 2019 is the year for the digital open house, the / paperless open house. And the reason I'm making a case for that is because regardless of market circumstances, regardless if you're new in the business, regardless of how big your database is, you can do an open house. And Nicole Solari got in the business as a realtor, moved into a new market, and literally like 4th year in the business, she did 298 transactions. And so I also think it's something that's I don't know. It's something that anybody in the Mortgage Coach community can do and implement and execute. And I just think it's a big strategy because it's also pretty unique. Most realtors aren't doing it. Most loan officers aren't doing it. I mean, this may or may not be right for your model, Jim. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I actually absolutely think it's right. Now, I'll admit to not having watched her digital open house stuff, but of course we have an open house strategy with HBM, and it's very powerful. So yeah, it's the battle I fight getting my guys out of the office and off the lead. So, but I'm having some success, and open houses is a part of it, no doubt about it.
Right on. So guys, I'm going to put a link to that. I do believe just about everybody in this community. I've interviewed Nicole multiple times last year and the year before. I'll put a video to it. I mean, again, in case you didn't hear that, 4th year as a realtor, 298 transactions, #1 lead source is open houses, and her secret weapon is that it's a paperless open house. So check it out. So Shannon Martinez has asked a couple different questions. So Shannon, yeah, the article, I'm sorry I didn't speak to your questions, but that Rick Share article that I posted in chat has the scripts, has the links, and I'll post it in our Facebook group. And also Shannon, if I didn't get your question answered well enough in this call, and you still have more questions, post that in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, and I'll respond to it. And I'll also make sure some Mortgage Coach members crush this for you, because you asked great questions. I want to make sure that we get you what you need to implement on that. So thank you for asking that. And also thanks for the heads up in chat saying, hey, make sure you respond. I appreciate that. So Jim, when you think of other killer strategies that the Mortgage Coach community should focus on in 2019, or any other strategies you're focused on, what comes to mind?
Oh, no pressure. It's funny. I always tend to be captivated by the most recent book I'm reading or whatever. And, I feel like particularly the folks that are on this call probably, they probably have all the tools they need. They probably have all the knowledge they need. They probably have good support, or plenty, or it's at least adequate support. All these kinds of things, so that it's all there. It's done. There's no getting ready that needs to be done. And so I just had most of the books I read I do on audio, and I was just listening to Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, again, and he always hits me so hard with just massive action, and particularly this time of year. This time of year, it tends to be a little slower, and people tend to give themselves permission to just relax. And there's nothing wrong with relaxing, but like you were saying earlier, the people that really succeed big, they do plenty of relaxing, but they time block it. It's not just, kind of wandering through life. And so the times that you're not relaxing, though, be taking massive action. I mean, literally yesterday, I was meeting with a real estate agent in their office, and so, I mean, I met with I interviewed a potential recruit on Christmas Eve. I mean, just take action and be doing it. It's really nice to be doing it when everybody else isn't doing it, because it really sets you apart. I mean, both of those people, that realtor and that recruit, both commented about they were surprised I was able to meet with them on those days. So it's just, and I spent tons of time at home with my family and all that too. But so that's really my message to my guys right now is, hey, you've got the preparation, you've got the tools, you've got the support. Take massive action.
So Jim, you actually influenced what I was going to have as the number 3 strategy for Mortgage Coach, which I was all pumped to say, and it's the seller buy down strategy. But you know what? You're so right. It really is just, it's prospecting, and I'm gonna shine a light right now on this call I did with Josh Metal. By the way, folks, I will be releasing over the next 2 weeks what were the 10, I don't know if it's 10 or 12, but the 10 or 12 best Mortgage Coach interviews of 2019. And you can rest assured that this particular interview, Gratitude for Greatness, 12 minutes and 15 seconds, will absolutely be on that list as one of the top interviews of 2018 for Mortgage Coach. And Josh just, was on a weekend. He cut some time out with his family. Him and I did an interview on Saturday morning, and it was all about, how they prospect every single day from 9 to 11. And they also have this practice where, hey, we huddle up and have this 5-minute gratitude huddle, and then we get after it. And so you're right, man. I mean, that's the total cost analysis is awesome. And obviously I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, so I'm always advocating for that. But the most important sales tool everybody on this call has is your phone, and being on the phone with people, being knee to knee with people. Because if you don't have those meetings, just like you heard Chris earlier in the call, my number one goal is to double the number of conversations I have. If you don't have those conversations, you don't get to deliver the TCA. The activity comes first. So it looks like we got Mr. Dan Keller. We're closing out the new year. Mr. Keller, can you hear us? And are you available to provide some ideas?
Absolutely. Hey, I just wrapped up training my group of loan officers here in my branch, and I wanted to jump on real quick. So I've missed the majority of the call. But I'm here. I'm excited to be here, man.
Good, man. Well, I'll bring you up to speed. So we've been just free flowing. Kind of asking everybody, what are your top goals? We've definitely been talking a lot about annual reviews and making sure that you're dedicating enough time and resources, and that there's just no reason you can't get 10% of your past customers to do a loan with you annually. So if you've got 1,000 past customers, that's 100 loans. And you just need to resource for it and do annual reviews. And then, so I'd say we talked a lot about that. And then we were just closing it out with what are some other, by the way, we talked about the paperless open house with Nicole Solari. I was kind of unpacking, hey, these are the top 3 strategies of the year: annual reviews, paperless open houses, Nicole Solari style. And then Jim said, hey guys, you've got the tools, you know what you need to do, you just need to get out there and do it. So with that said, you're an active leader here in the Mortgage Coach community. What do you think some of the most important things? And you could just repeat what we've already said. You don't have to say something new, or top things that the Mortgage Coach community needs to be focused on as we close out the year and get ready to kick off the new year.
All right, so here's my big push in 2019. It's been my big push for the past 3 years. You know this about me. But I think this is more than ever. This is the most important thing right now as a mortgage professional, especially mortgage coach, mortgage professional. We got to be more active, and we got to be more visible in the real estate agent community, period. And we can do it. We've got so much with, whatever it might be. I mean, pitching annual reviews to your agent and say, hey, this is what separates me from other lenders. Does your lender do an annual review? And does it look like this? The 2-1 versus the permanent buy down, the permanent seller buy down strategy. There's so many things that we could be doing right now to be massively visible and active in the real estate community. And it all boils down to, you know, this is my MO, it's content. We need to be curators of content. We need to be creating content on a daily basis, leveraging video, or leveraging a blog, whatever it might be. Use Facebook as your blog platform. I don't care. LinkedIn, but content is going to be key in 2019, I believe, and that's going to allow us to stay more visible with our past clients, more visible within the real estate agent community. That's my push, and that's what I just finished talking about with my loan reps here is we have our game plan dialed in. You need to have a routine. We talked about loan officers and real estate agents have bad habits. A lot of us have poor habits. It takes 21 days, 21 consecutive days to break a bad habit. And it takes repetitions. As a former college baseball coach, I talked about this. If I wanted to help fix one of my athletes' swings, it's going to take 5,000 good reps to break a bad habit. And it all boils down to routines. Routines are boring, but I hang out with successful people like you, Dave, my personal coach right now, Jeremy Forcier, the best in the business. And there is no secret sauce. Success is boring, and it lies and it falls into your daily routines. And so part of that for me is going to be creating content, man. That's every single day. My goal in 2019 is to create content, get it out there, and be visible.
Wow. So mic drop. So again, I don't know what's going to make top, annual reviews, paperless open houses, prospecting 2 hours a day, and creating daily content. Let's just make it number 4. Like if you did those 4 things, and by the way, not in that order. I mean, what's number 1? Prospecting. I've never met a top producer that didn't kill it, didn't get to the big show, and didn't spend a couple hours a day getting after it on the phone, not 2 days a week. Or, I have time this week, all the time. So by the way, Dan, Joe just asked a question.
Yep.
What is your tech package for the videos that you use? And we get asked this a lot, but if you could just rip that off real quick.
Yeah, my tech package. Are you talking about, what I use? So I use I record everything with my iPhone. Bought this little tripod. I mean, this is the iClip tripod I bought at the Apple store, I think. I use the iRig, it's iRig. Little iRig lav mic. Cool. So this is a little mic. I hook this on, I plug it into my iPhone, I record the video. From there, I just, I don't even know what they call it, but you airdrop it. I airdrop it from my phone to my MacBook. I drag it into iMovie. I trim up the front, I trim up the rear. I already have a bumper that I already put in there that just says, hey, this is Dan Keller, mortgage advisor and branch manager at Guild, and it transitions into my video. That's it. And I do that mainly for compliance because it has my MLO number and all that on it. And that all takes less than, I do 2 or 3 minute videos. Airdropping takes a minute. My edits might take 2 or 3 minutes, and then I upload it to YouTube or Facebook. Let's say 15 minutes max from start to finish.
And by the way, folks, the first time you did it, it wasn't that easy. It didn't take 15 minutes, but he grinded it out. And here's the thing, guys. I know Dan has gone through multiple mics, multiple things. Dan, could you, I'm going to start a thread just saying, hey, what tech do you use to create videos? And could you put links to that? So guys, watch this in the Mortgage Coach Mastermind group. We will start a post on, what tech are you using? Dan will put links to his. By the way, guys, Dan may not have the best. There may be some better stuff out there. Share what you're using. There's no doubt we need to create content. I've evangelized for the entire year that every loan officer out there, actually, I'm going to share my screen really quick because I just want to pound this home. Tell me if you can see my screen here in a minute, Dan. Average loan officers, most loan officers out there are playing the price of speed game. They're delivering fee worksheets. They're not having hopes and dreams conversations with their clients. They're not creating content and building personal brands. The best, if you want to kill it in 2019, you need to deliver advice. You need to start playing chess, which means it's not just because you can get someone to give you their social security number because they like you and trust you, doesn't mean you should. You should blow them away, wow them with advice. And by the way, you absolutely need to build personal brand. And that, doesn't mean only delivering a total cost analysis. That's follow Dan on Facebook, check him out. I've interviewed Dan countless times. If you want to create content and build brand, check it out. Dan, anything else tactically? Like, let's just assume there's a lot of people on this call that they've never done a video, or they've done it a few times, but they're just not confident about getting after it. Any just advice that might help them get started?
Yeah, just do it. Nike says it the best, just do it. Listen, at the end of the day, I love what Gary Vaynerchuk says. Anytime Gary Vaynerchuk's or has someone say like, why do you do this? Or why do you do that? He goes, because it beats the alternative. I mean, so if you're not doing, listen, if you're up here in Seattle and you're a loan rep and you're not doing video, I'm going to smash you, period. I'm going to smash you as a loan rep because I'm doing a ton of video. I'm running Facebook ads. I'm all over the internet. So wherever you are across the country, get on board with it now, or the alternative is broke. The alternative is more cold calls. The alternative is going out and pounding the pavement. We've got a phone right here. We have social media. It's the best tool in the history of the world for business people, and it's free. So compare that to the alternative. So that's I guess, my big strategy, my big, if I could give you any tips. The other thing right now, Dave, I think you can agree with this. I think the big push in business and with entrepreneurs right now, with the podcasts that I follow, the successful people that I follow, outside of content creation is mindset. I'm following guys like David Goggins right now, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, just to name a few. I mean, Lewis Howes, everyone is talking about, Jocko. It's all about mindset. So my big push in my office with my loan reps is get your mind right. Get your mind right going into 2019. Have an unbeatable mind. I have one of the books back here, Unbeatable Mind, by former Navy SEAL. Anything written by Jocko, David Goggins. You Can't Beat Me, I think is his book that I just bought. I'm starting
You
that.
Can't Hurt Me.
You Can't Hurt Me. You
By the
can't
way,
hurt me.
I'll be interviewing him.
You are?
Confirm the dates, but I've got an intro, and he will definitely be on the Mortgage Coach TV.
Big time.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a great closing thought. And Jim, I'm going to let you weigh in on this as we wrap it up. But you're right. When I can't remember what time I interviewed Jeremy Forcier, and I asked, I can't remember how I asked the question, but what's most important? And it's his energy. So I take it back. This is not the most important tool. Your energy and your mind is your most important tool. And if it's right, you crush it. You can't stop yourself. And if it's not, it doesn't matter. You can't get it. So the book I'm reading over the holiday is Stealing Fire, just crazy. My big takeaway so far is going to be, more meditation, focusing on that. Another book, I'm trying to get an interview right now with Unstoppable, Relentless, Tim Groves.
Oh yeah, Grover.
Book is insane. So by the way, in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, what book are you reading right now over the holiday? Yeah, Relentless. Such a good book. And if your mind's not right, get it right. Jim McQuaig, any last comments from you before we wrap up today's call? Oh, maybe we lost Jim. Dan Keller, brother, I am looking forward to seeing you soon. I really appreciate you coming in on this, kind of a holiday week. Thank you for coming in and deliver value. Mortgage Coach community, everybody that joined this call, there's hundreds of people that have joined us on Zoom, on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in to Mortgage Coach. We would not have this community without you guys. The questions that are being asked in our Facebook group, the folks that comment and participate. And guys, even folks that aren't commenting and asking questions, but you're just showing up and getting value from this and then telling me about it, it shows. Really, really appreciate you, man. It's an honor for me to be the leader of the Mortgage Coach community. Dan, any last words of wisdom for the crew before we wrap it up?
Listen to Savage and his crew, man. You guys are doing a great job, Dave. By far one of the best groups online on Facebook in regards to just adding value to loan reps and salespeople. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate you more than you know.
Right on, man. Take care, everybody. Have a great New Year's celebration. We will not have a Tuesday interview. Obviously, it's New Year's Day. So we will be back next Friday, and then we will be back the following Tuesday. Take care, y'all. Make sure you tune into our Facebook group. See ya.